Live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
And hello, welcome to Fox 12 Now. I wanted to pull up this shot because it is so nice outside right now. That is Mount Hood, obviously with that big blue sky that's right there behind it. So I'm sure a lot of you are out there enjoying that right now and watching us on your phone. So thanks for joining us. This is Fox 12 Now. We are live streaming here every weekday starting at 1 p.m. We're on Facebook, YouTube, our website, and of course our apps. So lots of places to find the show and join in the conversations and segments that we get to have. Today we're talking about, well, smoke in the skies. That was a nice blue sky, but we know the trend is wildfires are going to happen somewhere, someplace, and that smoke is probably going to be here over the summer. And it's something that we're aware of, but there are ways to track this, to talk about it, to understand what's happening, and some tips even to help stay safe. And to talk about all of this, joining us right now, we have Dylan Darling from the Oregon Department of Environmental Quality, and thank you very much for being here. Dylan, I appreciate you, and I took a look at this report that came out yesterday just talking about this trend, of smokier summers. And I guess, could you give us a little bit of the backstory on that? Like, how long has this been the trend going?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Greg, and thanks for having me. So at DEQ, we just put out the smoke trends report, and it has data stretching back into the 80s. And this most recent report adds in last fire season, 2023. And looking back about a decade, you can just really see things ramping up in Oregon. The report kind of shows what a lot of people know anecdotally, that in recent summers, we've been seeing more smoke more often, and just more intense as well. And so it really over about the last the past decade is when we're seeing that.
Yeah. I mean, and I think just even, living here, we're probably all gotten used to it and imagined that was the thing, but now seeing the report and the data, so backing that up. And so with that, I guess maybe we can talk about right now, because I know part of the report was even warning about some issues that could be happening right now.
Yeah, and some of this is, just overall, due to climate change, we are seeing more larger wildfires, and you have more fire, you have larger fires, then they put off more smoke. And so that's where DEQ comes in. We work with other agencies to really keep an eye on smoke and air quality conditions during fire season, and even go to the extent of issuing air quality advisories when there's times that people might be concerned about their quality and how it might impact their health.
Yeah, and those are honestly really valuable when we do get those, to understand that. And you mentioned, the climate change, all these other factors that are coming in as far as how these wildfires are happening. And it sounds like you work with a lot of other agencies, interagency communication, in order to come up with all the data and make sure that we're well informed. Is that correct?
Yeah, and definitely when it comes to those air quality advisories, which thankfully, that beautiful blue sky day you showed at Mount Hood, thankfully, that's what we're seeing right now. But, in a few months, we'll be getting back into fire season and everything, and you just might see more smoky days. And when we have those, before we put out an air quality advisory, we'll have these calls where you might even have like 40, 50 people on them, and they're from like National Weather Service, Oregon Health Authority, firefighting agencies, the Forest Service, Oregon Department of Forestry. You get this whole host of people, and then the local health agencies. And the whole point of having that conversation is looking at where are the fires, which way literally is the wind blowing, so where might the smoke go and accumulate and get to a point like we need to warn people that, hey, there's not just smoke in the air, but enough smoke that it could be a health concern.
And once it does get to that point where it is a health concern, I guess, how much smoke is necessary to be a health concern, and what are the things that people can do once it does get to that level?
Yeah, and it's another one of those things we might be out of practice, but come fire season, I think we all start saying AQI, which means air quality index. And that's the color-coded system we have of looking at air quality. And thankfully, right now, you look at the map of AQI around Oregon and you see green dots everywhere. Become fire season, you might see yellow, which is moderate, and then orange, which is unhealthy for sensitive groups. And it's that orange and above that really causes this concern. If you see it get up into that threshold, it, and then stay there for a while, a day or more, that's when it's really becoming a concern. Because if you're spending any extended amount of time outside, you're just breathing in particulates. And those particulates are tiny little pieces smoke that get into your lungs and then cause all sorts of problems. And so it's really that USG, the orange and above that we're looking out for.
So that's something I think good for everybody to be thinking about right now as we get in, as we start getting into that season, is if you see that orange indication then for the AQI, then that's a sign to really watch out for what's going on there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, so you asked about, well, what can you do? Things are just limiting your exposure outside. So if you'd planned to go outside gardening that day or go for a run, maybe just reschedule that. And then just with your home, if you can really button it up and hopefully you might have a system that you could even have a filter and things like that, but really just trying to limit that time that you're out in the smoke.
And looking at these trends from what you've had previously, do you expect this summer to have a lot of issues when it comes to wildfire smoke?
It's so hard to say. I mean, this is an upward trend. And so like a lot of data though, you can have extremes really high up or really low down. I mean, as much as this trend over the last decade or so is an upward trend of more smoke and more smoky days, you look at a year like 2019, and it was actually a really nice year. You saw a lot more of those blue sky days than smoky days. But then you see another year like 2020, where we had historic wildfires that came late in the season, but then led to September 2020 was just a month for the record books where we saw historically bad air quality all around Oregon. We saw hazardous air quality. We were talking about the orange level. This was well beyond that. So it can be really hard to say, in part because trying to predict wildfire season is a combination of just trying to predict fire activity, weather, and then how much smoke. But all in all, the trend, unfortunately, is for more smoky days.
And it's important, I think, for everybody to be aware of that. And one thing that I know you have as well, here, I've got this pulled up here. This is, if you could tell us just, what this is and how people can utilize this to monitor air quality at home.
Yeah, thanks so much. So this is what we call AQI map. And again, AQI stands for Air Quality Index. And all those green dots you're seeing there are monitors that we have around the state. And I will point out these are monitors, built by DEQ and maintained by us. And so they're really calibrated to be finely tuned tools of really getting a good sense of the air quality out there. There are other lower cost sensors out there that anyone can get and put at their homes. The data might not be as refined. They still can be handy, but you're looking at our network of monitors around the state. And thankfully, it's showing that today is a really nice air quality day around Oregon. You're seeing green dots everywhere.
Yeah, so this is the ideal then, right here. And I'm seeing here too, you can kind of click on each one of those and get an idea of what's going on. So this, though, during the summer would be a great place to go for people to check out. And just again, to give the website too, it's aqi.oregon.gov.
And that also the same information you'll be able to find on an app called Oregon Air. So it's just Oregon and then AIR, all one word, and it's an app. And it's pretty handy, especially in the summer if you're planning on going to a different part of the state or just wondering like how widespread is this smoke. You can pull up the map that you just showed or use that app and get a sense of how it's looking all around the state.
Anything else you think that it's important for people to know as we head into what could be wildfire season?
Yeah, there is a something called the Oregon Smoke Information blog, and you can just search that and it should come up. And once we get into the period where we're putting out air quality advisories, that's where to find those. And so again, that's called the Oregon Smoke Information blog. It's a really good tool to have during the summer.
Great. I mean, and between that as a tool, the Oregon Air app as a tool, and then of course going to the website and take a look at that, sounds like there's a lot of places to use that data and monitoring that you're doing to just help keep ourselves informed, because the chances are that, I mean, even the reports, it says the trend is it's going to be smoky this summer, but hopefully not. Hopefully it's just that nice green map, and the sky looks like that all summer long. But we'll have to.
Absolutely. Hopefully you can have me back on and we can talk about how we really bucked the trend this summer.
I would love that. I hope that we could do that segment. Well, Dylan, thank you very much for joining us today. I appreciate your time and going over this. This is important for anybody here in the Northwest, especially to know and to understand going into the summer and just how to stay safe and know how to read the map and understand the warning signs. So thanks for being here. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Greg. This is a really cool platform you have.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, we love it here. And for everybody who's tuning in too, this is Fox 12 Now. So we are live here every weekday and we cover a wide range of topics. Coming up at 1:30, we're switching gears. We're going to talk about a group of U of O theater alumni who are starting up a scholarship. But at 2 p.m., actually, we're going to get kind of back into this. We've got Jeff Forgeron, meteorologist here at Fox 12 Oregon. He's going to be joining me to talk about what the trends are kind of looking like for the summer, for the upcoming weather. So that ties in a bit with what we were just discussing here. So definitely want to join us at 2, but I'll be back at 1:30. Whatever platform you're watching on, you can join me right here. I do recommend downloading the Fox 12 Oregon app while you're downloading the Oregon Air app. Then you just get both of them out of the way, and then you can check the air and watch this show. So it's good for both of them. But we'll be back here in about 10 minutes or so. If you're watching live, I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.